Welcome to my channel. This is an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do so, and don't forget to click the little bell so that you'll get notified of future videos. Please feel free to share my videos on your social media, and I hope you enjoy the video which follows. Hello everybody. It is Wednesday, April 15th, as I'm starting to put some clips together for this coming weekend's video, a gardening video, I think. These are my onion seedlings. Variety is Dakota Tears, open pollinated heirloom variety. They've had their first haircut. If you remember from the last video, they were looking kind of, well, they were flopped all over and kind of tall and spindly. It's good to cut them down. Doesn't hurt them at all. I'm just seeing a few more pieces in here that could be shortened up some. Actually, it does them a lot of good. It triggers the plant to start developing the bulb that will be the onion down below. If you just allow them to continue to grow into tall, grassy plants, probably be successful. You could probably still transplant them out into the garden. But this way they will start to grow a little teeny bulb, which makes them much more apt to survive when you transplant them out. The cutting off of the foliage, I presume, must alarm the plant, and it thinks that it has to, if they actually can think, it thinks that it has to start to really develop that bulb to guarantee its survival type thing. Probably before I transplant them out, they're going to grow in the hoopos. Probably not until at least the second week of May, so they may get another haircut yet. My strawberry seedlings have all got 2 true leaves now. I'm always discouraged with seedlings that seem to be growing so slowly, and I have to keep reminding myself that a plant will grow proportionate to its size. A small plant will grow very small. It just doesn't have the energy to grow fast. But as it continues to get bigger, it will grow faster because it has more leaf surface and has the energy, can produce the energy to grow more leaves. So I'm hoping that these will start to speed up pretty soon, but all 9 of them are looking quite healthy. I planted 10 little pots of coal tomatoes, and I got germination in all 10 pots. I have eliminated any of the extra plants and just left 1 in each pot, but they're now also starting to grow their true leaves. They tend to grow very quickly, even under lights, so I'm hoping I can keep them relatively compact until I can transplant them. They'll be going in the hoopos, but the greenhouse hoopos, whatever you want to call it. But I won't put them out there even until the end of May. There's no great danger of frost or anything killing them in there, but you transplant tomatoes into a cold environment, it just shocks them and sets them back anyway. There isn't any advantage to getting them out too early. So end of May or last week of May, they'll go in the hoopos. These are my banana shallots, and they also have had a bit of a haircut. They're still looking kind of wispy. They were started later than the onions, so they got a bit of catching up to do, but they got pretty good germination, and they've had their first haircut anyway. And all of the Norway spruce that I transplanted, 5 I guess is all that I transplanted, are starting to get a little new growth here in the center, if you can see that. I have the original container that I just planted them in. More have come up in there and are coming up every day. I don't intend to pot them on, but I think I'll take this out and put it in the hoopos. It should be all right in there now. And maybe if I can get them to stay alive until things warm up, I'll transplant them somewhere in the forest here. Well, all of the plants that you just saw were on this top level. It's a two-tier light garden that I use. My only problem with it is I wished I'd bought the three-tier. Isn't that always the case? I have a fairly large hoop house, and I think I could use one 3 times the size. Anyway, I have moved all of those things down below, and I like to put things that I'm just getting started on the top layer. It's easier to work with them, planting the seeds and whatever. And what I'm about to plant now are dahlias. I always grow at least one kind of flowers to put in containers and whatever in the summertime. This is a mix colors of a variety called Fresco. The variety is called Fresco, and the package of seed that I bought was a mix of supposedly all the colors that are in that variety. It says they are a brilliant semi-double or double bloom, and the plants only grow to 10 to 12 inches high, which should be good for containers. And they do best, of course, like most flowers, it says, in full sun. It says I got approximately 25 seeds in the seed packet. Well, somebody can't count very well. I haven't counted them, but I must have close to 100 there. There are a lot of seeds. Let's hope they germinate. I hope mine look as nice as they did in that photograph. There were plenty of seeds in the packet, and I'm going to put at least 2 in each of the pots. If they both germinate, I'll cut one off. Although I'm tempted to leave 2 in some of the pots. I think that would be interesting if they don't crowd each other out. It might look like one plant with 2 different colors on it. With my luck, they both would have the same color anyway. I'm planting these in a ProMix seed starting compost, organic. Not that that makes any great difference with dahlias, I guess. Not going to be eating them. And I'm planting it in dry soil, as you can see. That's one of the things that's really great about this light garden. The trays that everything sits in here are waterproof, and so I can plant in dry soil and then just add water to the tray, and it will wick up through rather than having to top water them. So that's what I'm planning to do with these. Several more things that I want to start here today, so I won't do that until I have everything planted. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a day later, early morning, April 16th. I'm out to do the first planting in the garden. Only one item this morning. I'm going to plant spinach. You can plant spinach just as soon as the soil can be worked, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you that in a minute. Stopping by one of my hazelnut trees on the way, though. As you can see, lots of catkins. And the tiny, tiny, tiny little red female blossoms are out as well. And I'll do what I always do. I'll try to show you one, but they're so small. My camera just doesn't focus on them very well. In this bright sunlight, there's no way I can tell if it's focused or not. But there's one of the tiny little red blossoms right on the end of that branch. And as you no doubt have figured out with the catkins and whatever, hazel trees are wind pollinated, which shouldn't be a problem here on Campobello. We get lots of wind. Well, that's the cage that I grew my corn in a couple of years. And I'm not going to grow corn this year. Actually, I didn't grow corn last year. But I want to use the bed that it was covering. So it has been knocked over on its side deliberately. And now all I've got to do is find the energy to drag it off somewhere. Put it off to one side. It is much heavier than I thought it was. But this is the bed here that I grew the corn in, and last year I grew cucumbers in it, I guess. But you waste a lot of the bed if you have to have a path down the middle. It's only 4 feet wide, so I'm eliminating the cage this year, and I'm not quite sure. I think probably zucchinis and maybe some cucumbers in that bed this summer. Well, this little bed is 4 foot square, and I planted my garlic in it last fall. There's nothing up yet, but the soil is still quite cold, so it has just thawed up, so I'm not expecting the garlic to be up for a week or so yet, and I don't know whether garlic and spinach are good companion plantings or not, but it doesn't make any difference. It's what I'm doing, I guess. I've just made 4 little drills, and I'll plant them quite generously. I don't have great success in the past with spinach. We have a strange growing season here in the spring. We don't get very much hot weather, but spring doesn't seem to last very long. All of a sudden you get some really warm days. By that I mean up into the 30s or whatever Celsius. You might get some of those in June. And when you do, that makes the spinach bolt. So on the seed packet here it talks about succession planting. Plant some every week or two, but that doesn't make any sense. The way I garden here anyway. I'll get one planting and hopefully get some spinach out of it. I gotta remember that these last 2 rows don't have as many as the other rows have in them. Well, I will close that over. You can also plant peas as soon as the soil can be worked. I'm expecting a large shipment of organic compost, the organic ProMix compost for vegetables and herbs, later today sometime. And the bed where I want to plant my peas, I want to top it up with some of that before I put the peas in. So I will cover up the spinach and hopefully later today plant my peas. Well, this is 4 of the chestnuts that I grew last year, the supposedly American chestnut, but I suspect what I've got is an Asian chestnut. I had them in these grow bags, and I just sort of healed them in the bed inside of the hoop house for the winter. And I brought them out yesterday. Maybe you can see the one that we're looking at there that has some buds that have started to enlarge and whatever, but I didn't want them to leave out too quickly in the hoop house where it's obviously warmer in the daytime than it is outside. So I brought them all out yesterday and set them on this bench. And I think all 4 of them have some signs of life, so it looks like they made it through the winter. Sometime this summer I got to think of where I want to plant them. This is up at the roadside adjacent to my property. I guess actually planted on the Crown right-of-way, part of the government-owned land. But I put in these, a single row of crocus, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago. And they just keep multiplying and spreading out. I'm a little early in the day here. They're still partially closed, but as the sun gets higher up on them, they all open up, and they've been in bloom for well over a week now. Well, everything has been seeded, and the water has been added. Just waiting for it to wick its way up through and see if I have to add any more or not. I'm going to say geraniums, but they're not. The dahlias are in their own little individual pots, and these vegetables are in 6-packs. I did 2 packs of lettuce called Butter Crunch, and that's a head type lettuce. I put several seeds in, but I'll have to eliminate all except for the best one in each cell when they germinate. But I did 2 of those. 1 of Scotch kale, 1 of cutting celery. I think the last time I grew that it's called soup celery or something like that. Anyway, it's more an herb than a celery. It does have thin stalks on it, but not like a celery that you'd buy in the supermarket. But it has a good celery flavor. And then I have 1 6-pack each of broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower. The seeds just arrived today from Vessie's. And the one back here that says mixed, I've got 2 cells each in that of cauliflower, cabbage, and broccoli. Wasn't going to be growing those things. Was going to buy them at a greenhouse this spring, but the way things are going, I don't know. I was in St. Stephen, where the greenhouse is that I would be buying them at, but it's too early to go in and get them. And they've got restricted hours, not hours, but restricted access, which makes sense, I mean, for their safety and for the safety of their customers. But they're only allowing 5 customers in at a time. Not allowing you to go out into their various greenhouses and do your own selecting. They have a display greenhouse that's attached to their sales office. I presume they'll have a lot of things in there, but I just think when things get busy, 1st of June, the end of May, and everybody's out getting their bedding plants, that you could end up standing in a parking lot there for hours waiting for your turn to get inside. So ordered the seeds, and I'm going to grow my own. And as I say, the water is, well, I've added a little extra. It absorbed the first lot, so eventually they will be wet right to the surface, and I'll lower the lights back down on them again. Not quite, I guess. The daffodils are not going to bloom today. That's Angel shaking, if you heard that in the background. These are just 2 or 3 daffodils that are up close to my foundation wall in the house, so they are usually the first to bloom. Another sunny day tomorrow, they'll bloom. Well, I waited all day for the compost to be delivered, and I just had a phone call that it's been delayed. It'll be here tomorrow morning now, so I was hoping to finish this video up showing you my 20 bales of compost and maybe planting those peas, but that's not going to happen, I guess, for another day yet. So I'll close the video off and get it uploaded, and thank you very much for watching.